Dhaka Tribune, 7th of February 2023, China and Bhutan concur to further their border negotiations. China intends to seize critical control points in Bhutan to strike India as part of its all-out campaign against the Indian subcontinent. China and Bhutan have declared that a positive consensus has been reached to simultaneously push forward the implementation of all steps of the three-step roadmap they agreed to sign a Memorandum of Understanding, (MoU), on to speed up their boundary negotiations. This announcement was made 15 months after they signed the MoU. The public release of the three-step plan is still pending. Since 1984, the main discussion topics between China and Bhutan have been the disputed areas in Bhutan's west, notably Doklam, and the north along their 477 km-long boundaries. China asserted ownership of the Sokteng Wildlife Sanctuary in 2020, located in eastern Bhutan close to the Arunachal Pradesh border. China had suggested a territorial swap in the middle of the 1990s, asking for Doklam and other enclaves in Bhutan's west in exchange for regions in the north. There are no diplomatic ties between the two nations. Doklam, close to the Siliguri corridor in India, saw a protracted stalemate between Indian and Chinese forces in 2017. India would closely monitor any changes in the China-Bhutan boundary talks. General Manoj Panda, the head of the army, stated earlier this week that the army is closely observing the circumstances in Doklam and keeping an eye on Chinese activity there. The 11th Expert Group Meeting, EGM, on the China-Bhutan border problems was conducted in Kuanmyong from January 10 to January 13, according to a joint statement from China and Bhutan. The two sides had an in-depth exchange of ideas on executing the agreement on the three-step roadmap for expediting the China-Bhutan border talks at the meeting in an honest, courteous and constructive atmosphere, and reached a good accord. It added that the two sides also agreed to increase the frequency of the EGMs and to keep contact through diplomatic channels on holding the 25th round of China-Bhutan boundary talks as soon as possible at mutually convenient dates. The two sides agreed to simultaneously push forward the implementation of all the steps of the three-step roadmap, it said. The Bhutanese side expressed gratitude when the Chinese government consigned goods to Bhutan as a gesture of goodwill and friendship. According to the statement, the two parties conducted a brief handover ceremony during the meeting. Hong Liang, Director General of the Department of Border and Ocean Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China, headed the Chinese delegation to the Kuanmyong EGM negotiations. In contrast, Dashuletho Tabdhentangbi, Secretary of the International Boundary of Bhutan, led the team from Bhutan.